Spring training has begun. How do you feel about the rule changes? LeBron's down with an injury. The NFL Combine's this weekend. That and what's your favorite movie soundtrack? This is the We Don't Know Sports Podcast. Stay tuned. Welcome back once again to the We Don't Know Sports Podcast. This is Chad the Mark with
Mr. Brown
and
Canadian Biggie.
And fellas, we got the door open again this week.
Not quite as warm as last week.
No, we almost had a catastrophe. The man cave almost was no more.
Yeah, about 2:30 last night.
Every time you say that, it's going to be like Garth Brooks. 2:30 in the morning.
That's true, yeah.
My pine trees on the ground.
Just me and my dog in sight. It was 2:30. I went to bed. The window was open. It was raining, nice breeze. It was comfortable. And all of a sudden, the loud sound of the crashing woke me up. I had a heart attack. About a 100-foot pine tree came crashing down towards my bedroom window and dropped about 5 feet short of my flower bed, brother.
God damn, pal.
I just spit on you.
Biggie, could you hear it from your house?
I could not. It was a pretty wicked storm. I woke up for it, but it was weird. It was super bad for like 10, 12 minutes, and then it passed. As far as the winds part of it.
Right.
Does that make you feel like those summer thunderstorms are not that far away?
Oh, I love thunderstorms. I love a good thunderstorm.
That's what I was thinking. That's what
thunderstorm with a tin roof.
It reminded me.
Rain with a tin roof.
Well, I was just saying, wait a minute. It's not lightning with a tin roof.
I like to hear the thunder in the distance with the pitter-patter on the roof.
Let's just put him up there. Little Diller out there.
Raindrops, you're right. That's better.
Struck.
All right, so
you can still live.
While you gather your thoughts, Biggie, so back to the tree. It couldn't have fell any better if we tried to drop it. It landed right down the middle of my yard, didn't affect my grapes again like it did last time,
Nope.
Didn't hit my house, didn't hit the man cave. It may have took out a few lilies, but that's okay. They'll be back next year.
All I know is we got some firewood now.
That's right.
That's good stuff.
Outside firewood.
Right. Yes.
Don't burn the pine.
Don't burn that. Let me ask you this, just since we're talking about storms. What's the worst storm you've ever been in? What can you remember being just absolutely scared to death?
I can't say it's scared, but the derecho we had about, probably a decade ago now.
Yeah, that was 2012 maybe?
We lost power for 7 days.
2011?
In the middle of July when it was 100 degrees.
Oh, I had a basement at my house, so I was fortunate enough to survive that. But my God, the cost of gas and a generator to run constantly to keep your food fresh.
I was so hot that day because I remember my family was at a church camp, believe it or not, when it happened. So I'm at home by myself, and there was a few nights I slept out on my back deck on the patio just so I could just let the coolness hit me.
That was bad.
I was at work right when it started. And I remember, I had drivers coming back, and it was just starting to hit, and trash cans, get picked off the ground. I open up the door, and I'm in slow motion. I'm like, come on, get inside.
It's like the movie Twister.
It was.
Everybody down in the cellar.
Yeah, that's how it felt.
Let me ask you this. Did you ever hear the word derecho before then?
I didn't know what it was.
I had never heard that word until after that storm happened. I was on the phone with Craig, and he said derecho. And I had to make him say it a couple more times to make sure I heard it.
Don't cuss me. What's the derecho? But you know what it
He
is.
said, what, fellatio?
It's now it's old people around here
Sammy.
will call it the derecho.
Yeah,
right. Just like how they say the Cracker Barrel.
Yeah.
And the Kroger, it's not Kroger or Cracker Barrel or derecho. It's got to have the right?
Exactly. And I'm like, well, I would have never known. They're like, a derecho, man.
No. The derecho.
The derecho. Straight line wins, brother. There's no circular motion.
Are you doing the weather like you're Randy Savage there or something?
Yeah. Without the gerbil.
I've been in a ton of really bad blizzards, snowstorms. They kind of blend together after a while. When you have a really bad thunderstorm raining sideways, those are the ones that you remember.
I love sideways rain conversations, but I couldn't get over the gerbil comment. I'm not letting that.
That's our local news reporter, Mr. Cavalier.
TC.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right.
Speaking of rain sideways, we're going to go into a movie segment later on Best Soundtrack, and that reminded me of Forrest Gump, which is in there, but we'll talk about that later.
All right, so let's talk. We've been talking about rule changes and baseball, but we've had a couple, what has it been, a week of spring training ball games?
Right around there.
Yeah, so we've got a chance to see the I mean, the pitch clock or the batter clock, whichever you refer to it as, it definitely made some headlines after the first game. I mean, just now that you've had a minute to digest it, how do you feel seeing it in action? Is the stat 28 minutes has been shaved off of games?
I'll be interested to see how it plays out in the second half of the baseball season. In the beginning of the season, everyone will take their different time adjusting to it. We're going to have some headlines of a called strike or a called third strike, that kind of stuff. I think by the time we get past the All-Star break, you're not going to notice it because the clock's not going to be visible on television. So once the players adjust to the picked up speed, I just think it's going to be baseball at a faster pace.
I get what you're saying, but like we all saw it happen with the Red Sox and the Braves. 6-6. They ended the game because of a violation, and they left in a tie, which obviously you can't tie in the big leagues, but in the regular season. But like, and it's even in spring training. You're going down to Florida to watch a spring training game. Name one fan that was happy that we left with the 6-6 tie because of a violation of the clock. I got my money's worth.
I mean, if it was an out, the game would have been over the same way, right?
Yeah.
They were hoping
that doesn't
that
matter.
What do you mean it doesn't matter?
I'm just saying, like, your whole analogy about going there and being disappointed in a tie, whether it was a clock rule or whatever.
But the players didn't dictate the finish.
Well,
So here's what I say. Instead of no umps in the bottom of the ninth, just no umps in the ninth inning.
yeah,
Let
I
the
didn't.
players call
Was
it.
that today?
It was yesterday.
Yesterday?
I have seen where it's already made an effect. I saw a video of a batter, was it Carlos Correa or someone else who took strike one, went to
Machado.
step Machado went to
He
step
said,
out.
I'm going to have a lot of those this year. He went in and told everybody.
Well, yeah, I saw him, but then I saw another player today that started to do the
I
step
didn't see
out
it today.
and went right back in because he realized he was going to get a strike called on him. So I don't like it. You took the only untimed sport and you made it a time sport,
hate
which
that
I don't
part.
care for.
Yeah.
And look at for those of you that are analytics like nuts, look at the batting average between someone who's up 1-0 as opposed to someone who's down 0-1.
Oh, yeah. It changes.
It's astronomical.
I feel like I can get behind the idea of some of this. I don't like it in execution. And what I mean is, and especially older fans, I know a lot of people are saying like, don't F with the game. Don't change it. Like, it's been a slow burn and change over the years. Like, part of the reason why Machado is mad is these batters, they slow the game down. Pitchers, was your idol Ted Williams doing that back in the day? I mean, was that happening in the 60s and the 70s? Were players in the 90s that started? So, like, part of, like, it putting an influence on these guys is just quit jerking your nuts and go play.
It's
the
gamesmanship. It's gamesmanship.
So, like, why is it turned into gamesmanship at one point, and then as the years gone on, I just feel like some of them take forever. Like, I love Sean Casey, but my God, in between swings, he had a...
But that's the thing. I was fine with it. It made it distinct. That's one of the things I enjoy.
It's not only that. So, like, let's think about a historically fast worker like a Max Scherzer. And I know they didn't really probably play against each other, but here comes Sean Casey up the bat. So then he has completely thrown Max out of his rhythm by doing what he's doing. He might tee off one because Max now, he's a hothead. He's pissed off. Yeah. Let me get in the box, you bitch.
Right. So
that's my opinion.
I like this quote from Gary Sheffield. He said, I love that Major League Baseball asks people that don't watch baseball what it would take for them to watch baseball. They say the addition of a game clock, then those same people watch Netflix all year.
That's 100% true.
New leadership, please.
We established a long time ago that these rules weren't going to do anything to bring in new fans. Like, it's really not. The only thing you're going to do to bring in new fans is competitive teams. You need a dynasty or somebody that's consistently good, which I think you got.
Well, you got to be able to market your players better. You got Mike Trout, who's a first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the great players that will ever play the game. Yep. And how many people know just how good he is unless you're a diehard baseball fan? He's on the West Coast
it's
on a shitty team.
100% marketing because even though they have the salary cap, we touched on it last week, has the most parity in any of the three major sports.
Yeah, you can look at a guy playing in Middle America in football, and they're legendary. There are faces everywhere. Yeah. I mean, you can play for the Detroit Lions and be Matthew Stafford or Megatron. Like, you don't have that in baseball. I don't care how good you are. If you play for a bad Tigers team, people don't know your name.
Hey, and real quick, since you threw out the Michigan reference there with Megatron, I mean, we're seeing Michigan on TV here. Isn't it about time for Juwan Howard to choke somebody?
I mean,
Slap that ass.
it's going to be a March miracle. I just want to cap on the pitch clock thing. I don't like the pitch clock. I don't mind telling the players they need to hurry the hell up. Not all of them. And I think I said this to Biggie when, I don't know if I did this afternoon or not when we got here, but if it was like 5 seconds longer, I think that would be appropriate. Maybe just something so they can't take forever and step out of the box 3 or 4 times. Like, get your timing right the first time. I get all that stuff, but like, I don't feel like that's the baseball I grew up with.
I just feel like stepping in and out of the box, calling time, that different. I saw a time call that got denied, even though the ump saw it because he called it too late in the pitch clock. Like, to what Mr. Brown said, that's gamesmanship. That's how a guy who's an inferior batter who gets owned by a certain pitcher is able to take control of the at bat. He changes the at bat. Now you can't do that. It's just like playing a video game. We get in there, I'll throw it, let's see what happens.
You got to give the man time to wink at him. Come on. That's what you do. Get an old stink eye.
I'm trying to change my mind on it, but I'm just not there. I just don't like it.
As far as the NFL, like when we get down to the play clock and you clearly see watching it live, sometimes the snap's not off in time and they'll let it go.
Yep.
You've got to have a little bit of flex. I'm not saying like 5-10 seconds, but if it's within a few seconds, let it ride.
Yeah. And I'd have been good if they would just enforce the rule that was in the books before this, which was that they had 20 seconds or something like that. But like the ref, like in basketball, you'll see him. Nobody can see me, but officials will move their arm.
Get over half court.
Yeah, Biggie can see me at least. But anyway, that's the kind of thing. Like, would they do that? Like, I don't need a clock.
See, I liked when they limited the mound visits because they didn't make it a time thing, but they made it you had to be more prepared each pitcher.
Then they changed how many batters you have to face if you're a reliever.
So I was okay with that because it added strategy to the game. The 3-batter thing got me until I realized you can face a batter at the end of an inning and then a new pitcher can start the next
inning.
So those were things to speed the game up that didn't put a clock on an untimed game. It just...
But it's not about speed. It's not about speed. It's about so what I was trying to say earlier was you have to have a good product on the field and you have to have distinguishable, superstars out there. So I think they do, but then it goes to what you said is the marketability. They don't do anything with what they have.
Yep.
I think we were saying this last year. It still holds true. Can you remember a time when a sport had this much young talent the way baseball does right now? We're talking about guys that you could seriously think if they can have a 10 to 15 year career, they could be Hall of Famers.
With the reach that you have now, if you look at your 3 major pro sports that are your most popular, football, basketball, and baseball, which of the 3 should it be the hardest to recognize a guy's face? Football, because they always have a helmet on, right?
You're right. 100%.
But I know what Derek Carr's stupid crying ass looks like because they showed on TV. That's the other.
You know him from the tears, damn it.
Ew. The tears of being a Raider quarterback. The difference is NFL is viewed by more content than anything else out there. And ESPN is going to show them. Fox Sports is going to show them. Baseball, it's a long season and it's so regional. You don't get a lot of exposure unless it's the Sunday night game of the week, and then they'll talk about it all week to make you watch it.
Can you pick Jose Ramirez out of a lineup?
Right. Most people aren't going to be able to.
Dude's probably the best third baseman in the league.
Right. But I don't know. I mean, and it's unless you live in Cleveland,
We gonna get to see his badass in June.
We'll recognize him, but it's why are they so bad at this? Whose fault is it? Is it the TV deal they got? Should they do a better national TV deal? Because I feel like they're only on ESPN.
Baseball is so regional. That is their issue.
All right, so how do you fix that? How do you fix that?
You get a better national TV deal. You look at what the NBA does with
Valley
TNT.
Sports going out of business?
So, yeah.
Oh, God.
On Tuesdays and Thursdays, the NBA has light nights. They'll usually have 2 games, maybe 3. Both games are on TNT. They're covered wall to wall by Chuck and Kenny and the guys. They highlight certain teams every week. The league schedules around it. I get it. You can't quite schedule like that with baseball. You can't tell me you can't find a way to highlight some of your star players or your better teams.
Yep. I mean,
don't just fucking cram the Yankees down my throat or the Dodgers because they're good. Give me some Giants. Oh, they aren't going to do anything this year. They won 107 games. you can adjust as it goes. Flex some schedules.
Right. I mean, you flex foot. Imagine how hard it is to flex a football game. You only get 1 week or 1 day where everybody's playing.
Hell, they were playing on Tuesdays and Wednesdays
you know what I
during
mean?
COVID.
You got that one
that's
slate.
what I'm saying. If they can do it,
You're not doing multiple games in 1 week
Yeah.
to make up for it. So it's a lot of problems there. I wish there was an easy fix, but I think baseball, regardless of the rule changes, like it's still doing the same in the finals or the NBA finals and the World Series are as far as TV ratings go. Like, and the NBA, like
as long as
what you
got butts and
mentioned,
seats, that's what they care about.
what you mentioned with the NBA, they're on TV all the time on national broadcast. I mean, what if baseball did a better job during the year? Maybe they would get better viewership.
Well, if you look at basketball, you got the TNT deal, and then you got the Saturday night game of the week on ABC. Hockey has Wednesday nights, Hockey Night in America. So with baseball, I know Sunday Night Baseball is there, but you're telling me you couldn't have Sunday, Tuesday, Friday, 2 or 3 days a week where you had a highlight game that you promoted for a week?
Well, when do you have night games? You know, I mean, so that's what you're going to be showing.
Yep.
But like you mentioned the hockey stuff, like they went off of TV. Like they went away. They were on like the super package you would have to get. It was like NBC Sports 2 or something like that. And that's the only way you could watch hockey. And then all of a sudden it's back on ESPN. It's on TNT. So like you would think with them being away, like that's where baseball should have had an opportunity to try to seize that market share that they abandoned. And instead they just keep sticking with these regional TV deals. And maybe that's just where they're going to make the most money. But, I don't know. Last thing, I didn't hear anything about the shift or the base sizes being anything. Everybody was just so focused on the stupid clock.
Yep.
So, I mean, did you see anything or hear anything?
I didn't see anything that stuck out as anything different than what it was before the change.
All right. So it's just a weekend. Everybody will have time to adjust to it, except for Manny Machado, who apparently says he'll be like that all year. We'll see how he goes. All right, let's switch gears. Just we got a little bit of NBA stuff I want to hit on. More specifically, let's just start with the Western Conference. And LeBron is out for what, like 3 weeks?
Reevaluated in 3 weeks. Doesn't need surgery. Those are the two things I saw.
They're done though, right?
Well,
are they going to play better without him?
They were done before he got hurt.
But like,
where you been?
There's all this. They made these little changes, and the team seems to be better, but they're still so far back.
So he was my second round pick in fantasy, and I'm okay with it. Like
you're not devastated.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Everything's fine.
Let the Lakers finish 13th in the West, and that way, when the playoffs start, we can actually hear about like the Joker and some of these other players that are really good that you never hear about when LeBron's in the playoffs because they get pushed.
No, he didn't make it last year. No,
they missed it last year. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. You have some of the Joker, Ja Morant, De'Aaron Fox, Sabonis out there. So, talk about the Kings.
Let's talk about this real quick. So, around what seed?
They're best team in California.
Around what seed's the Blazers in the West? Are they in the playoffs?
They'd be in the play-in right now.
Yeah, they're like 9.
So, like, I saw this bracket and I sent it to Biggie about Dame Lillard
because he had 71 effing points.
So he's got more 50-point games because he's comparing to his draft class with Chris Middleton, Anthony Davis, and there was who was the other one?
Anthony Davis,
Chris Middleton, and there was somebody else. Oh, Bradley Beal.
Yep.
So he has more 50-point games than all three of them combined.
Really?
It's now Portland.
Go ahead.
Portland's right there with LA.
So think about
they're 11.
Think about though, like AD and how he was supposed to be like the guy, like the stud, surefire Hall of Famer.
Yep.
And he was the guy that draft, and then now he's on the downside, and Dame just keeps getting better.
And he's going to finish his career in Portland, isn't he?
He seems adamant about it.
Yeah, he said that. He said multiple times, you guys better hope I don't win a championship because then you'll have to give me my respect. Oh, did you see this quote this week from Giannis? It was about KD.
Yeah, he threw some shade. What exactly did he say again?
Why don't you come spend some time with me and I'll show you how to win a championship the right way because you keep jumping on these super teams. Wow, that's the elongated version.
He said it to who?
KD. because, he debuted in Phoenix.
How did that go?
He had like 20.
23.
Yeah.
Booker had like 37.
Probably 23 effortless points.
Yeah.
Well, he only played 27 minutes.
I was going to say on a
3
minutes
points.
restriction.
Pretty
Probably.
good usage.
Yeah, I'd say that was all right.
Nice
I
purr.
just, like, when I look at the West, so you got Denver, Memphis, I'd like to see what that Ja can do. Sacramento hasn't been there in forever.
Oh, speaking of Ja, he just got in trouble. He pulled out a
Yeah, brandishing a firearm.
on a
And he-
17-year-old.
Didn't he punch that 17-year-old like 12 times? I heard that too. Well, he really does want to be a hood.
Yeah,
He's trying to show he was as physical as when Jordan played because he said he beat him one-on-one.
Who was talking shit about him? Was it Fox?
De'Aaron Fox.
De'Aaron Fox was saying like he is what we thought he is. He's soft or he's
I saw
ass or
this.
something like that.
Remember in 8 Mile at the end where he's talking about if Clarence went to a private school and he has both parents.
yes.
They did a
And
real
then a real good
job
marriage.
it's I enjoy the internet.
I mean, that could be the new East Coast versus West Coast rap feud. It can just be our NBA feuds now. But
I only watch NBA when it's playoff time. So it's hard to even,
I was just we had a lot happen though,
I know.
And then we didn't even get to what Biggie's got. You got the standings. What are you looking at?
Well, the other thing I was looking at is Dallas has fallen
That's where
down
I
to
wanted to
7th
talk.
after the addition of
They went and got
and
Kyrie.
Luka. What are they 1-5 since that deal?
Yeah, I mean, where is Kyrie a good fit anywhere?
dude. I just wish he'd finally fall off the edge.
He can't.
Please. For the love of
The
God.
ice shelf is too tall. He can't fall off the edge.
Them damn polar bears.
That's what
He keeps
you
taking
out.
them down.
The team that I'd like to see get into the playoffs, just because I love a particular player, are the Timberwolves with Anthony Edwards. I love him as a player to start
You like
with.
him more as an actor, though,
And
don't
I was
you?
going to say, I loved him in that movie.
Did you ever watch Hustle, Mr. Brown?
No.
It was. I was telling somebody about that the other day.
Watch that one.
Ooh, that's my Apple Watch talking. The government's always listening, everybody. Code red, code red. No, I was talking to somebody the other day who's a big time NBA fan, and they hadn't seen that movie. And I'm like, if you like the NBA at all, what they have like 20 different players in that movie?
Yeah. Yeah, they had a lot. That was good. They even had some GMs and execs in there, too.
Hold on. Hustle was which who?
It was Adam
Oh,
Sandler.
yeah, I've seen that. Yeah. With
Rudy
yeah.
Bonchero.
Wasn't
But the
Anthony
guy
Edwards?
who
like-
plays is actually in the league.
He's in a goldfish commercial now. Have you seen that?
Uh-uh.
It's I gotta find it.
That was a great movie. I'll give you that.
But it's like they do a thing of his hand, and it's like his hands are so big, so when you pour the goldfish,
Yeah.
the snack, not like real goldfish.
That's why I was like, what?
flopping around.
Oh, with Boban. How can he be bad as Boban and be in that many commercials?
It's
I had this
quite a
conversation with
talent.
one of the other show choir dads, and we got to talking, and his daughter likes Boban, and he's like, I don't get it. You're that minimally talented. How is he in this many commercials?
what do show choir dads talk about?
Non-show choir stuff.
I mean, like
Well, this particular guy that I was talking to is big into a lot of the same kind of music I like, and he's a Reds fan. So we started talking Reds baseball, and then it went from
so.
there.
How does that start? Is it like somebody's wearing like
He had a
sports?
Reds jacket
You
on.
got a Reds jacket, so you're like, all right, if this dude
On
bought a
show
Reds
choir
jacket-
Saturday, you got to wear your show choir shirt. I got 2 buttons on my daughter, one for each boob.
What's
Put
the
'em
show
on.
choir shirt? Is that like a
Polka
staff
show-
shirt?
They have 2 shirts, one for the show choir itself, and then another shirt that they make and sell, so you can have either. They needed help in the staging area, so you sit back there and you move stuff on and off, and you turn your back when the girls change, and you go rah rah and hope they did good. And some of those shows are really, really good. That's how I know that the soul of music has died. When I go to show choir and I listen to these kids sing their hearts out, and I think about the music we have nowadays, and that's why children are
Yeah,
depressed.
we were talking about that earlier, and Mr. Brown, is it what year did the music die to you?
To me, definitely at 2010, if not sooner.
Is it because of the digital stuff? Is it because everybody could download stuff and record companies couldn't tell us what to like anymore? So now it's just noise and there's everything out there. It's kind of like I was bitching about like how TV, like there's a million channels, but like you can't even figure out what you want to watch. Like we're oversaturated with
No,
stuff.
we are.
Like I just want to keep going to SoundCloud and listen to those mumble rappers. Exactly. Just like that.
And just like that, he just dropped his first hit.
What's the last good album you ever remember like listening to? Like just brand new, you got it, and you're like, holy crap, this is great.
First one, Zach Brown drop. I like that.
You have to go to country, wouldn't you?
Well, all the other stuff sounds the same anymore. Oh, so I'm sorry. T Swizzle's first one, back when she was Taylor Swift.
T Swizzle.
Tim McGraw, blah, blah, blah.
You a big Swiftie? Is that
saw
what
her in concert.
So,
North Dakota State Fair.
Ticketmaster, you at odds with them now because of that?
No, I don't. Dude, how can you charge $400 or $500 for a ticket to a concert? Like, I'll just watch a YouTube video of you singing.
It's because people pay it, man.
God.
So you guys were talking about movie soundtracks. So what brought that up?
I think Mr. Brown texted me. I don't know how he came across it, but he came across the Forrest Gump soundtrack. Or asked if I had ever heard it or something like that, and that's where the conversation.
No, what started it for me is Landon had a sleepover with 3 friends this weekend for 2 days. And this was all weekend event. And then he was waiting on the last kid to be picked up. So they were downstairs. They threw it on Netflix watching Forrest Gump. And I was doing the dishes and whatnot, just listening to like some of the music that was coming on. And I was like, man, that's a great soundtrack.
It really is.
So then I came down here to the man cave after Landon got picked up with his mom. And I was like, I sat there and listened to the whole soundtrack, just chilling.
You probably could on that one.
Yeah.
And I think some of it helps because where it covers multiple.
And it's so much range.
Yes.
And different types.
You got everything from CCR to Elvis to another song on there.
I feel like The Unfortunate Son, though, is in every war movie, Vietnam era.
Every 70s, early 80s.
That and that Buffalo Springfield song. Hey now, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going
down.
That's copyright's going to hit us now just because we sang that so well.
That's right.
So
what's your favorite song off of that soundtrack?
Man, I don't know. I guess if watching it, probably Jenny singing Bob Dylan's song.
Yep. I mean, I'll just rewatch this scene.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge like Leonard Skinner fan, but I love the use of Freebird in that with Jenny on the balcony.
Oh, yeah, it was great.
That's I felt that. That was cool.
What if he'd have been like, he wasn't even there then, was he?
No.
That part. Yeah, it was just showing her struggles.
Yeah. She was finding herself, as they say.
Yeah, something like that.
So
that's where she got the gades.
They never said what it was.
Yeah.
It might have been hepatitis.
Yeah.
Apparently it was hepatitis.
Because the kid wasn't affected or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, how do you explain that?
Did he not come out stupid?
No.
He's smarter than
He's
a
not.
That's right.
Is he like me?
Nah, that's right.
That's a kid from The Sixth Sense.
I remember now. Yeah.
He sees dead people, so I guess it did fuck him up.
Yeah, you're right. They didn't know the full story when that movie ended.
No,
clearly.
It was just getting started.
Yeah.
Bruce Willis is dead. So, spoiler alert.
I think he's going to die, really.
He's got dementia? Yeah. So,
Frontal lobe dementia.
I don't know what that means.
Me either. I just made it up.
Does it make it worse?
Did
you just make it up? Did they say that, or did you literally just make it up?
No, it's some type of lobe dementia.
Sounds serious. I don't know what's different than regular dementia, but back to the movie soundtracks. Do you have your favorite movie? Like, I feel like where we grew up too, we kind of benefited from like the strength of the movie soundtrack. Like, that was a big deal when a movie had a soundtrack. Like, because you couldn't download music the same way either. So like, I personally had gone and bought soundtracks because it'd have like 15 songs on it from different artists. It was a nice mix. But I mean, there's some iconic ones. So maybe the 2-part question: what do you feel is the most iconic, and what's your personal favorites?
Well, I don't know. I'm a huge Forrest Gump fan, so that one's an easy one to listen to for me, and I like all the music on there. But I always liked Space Jam soundtrack.
I mean, that was one I owned. It got played a lot. Man, it's funny. Like some of them, I was getting ready to say some of them old R. Kelly jams.
I believe you can piss on my face.
The other one I really liked was "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?"
That was good.
That was good. I didn't even think about that one.
That one was pretty good.
Alvin and the Chipmunks.
I mean, What was up with the 80s albums
So-
of the Chipmunks? Why were they like 5 foot tall?
I don't know.
They were like mutant chipmunks.
Yeah, it's like Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
There was two of them after you said this. I was looking through movies and I was trying to think of songs that I liked, and they didn't register with me the soundtrack right away until I started listening to music, and that's the original Friday and the movie 8 Mile, because that's Ice Cube. You got Exhibit, 50 Cent, Eminem. Those are songs we've all listened to that came from there, but I don't recognize those songs from that movie.
Until
know
you
what
saw
I'm
what the
saying?
soundtrack was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
what's
sometimes there's
the-
songs that aren't really in the movie. They're
What's
just
the Aerosmith song from?
Armageddon.
Yeah, when I hear that song, I think of that movie.
Yeah, because part of the reason too is you had the music videos that went along with it and they incorporated it. I think my favorite soundtrack song personally, I'm going to hit you with a little number. I know you'll know exactly what it is, but if I were to go,
Which Batman was that?
I think it was,
That was after the original.
That was
the third one. Is that Forever?
Was that with Val Kilmer?
I think.
You like you some Seal.
Yeah. I mean, but again, that was great.
I'm not embarrassed to say it. When that came on the radio, I'd sing it.
I'll still sing it.
Yeah.
I love that damn song. I don't even know half the words. I'm just like trying to.
Probably my single most favorite song that I recognize strictly from a movie is Coolio.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Dangerous Minds.
Gangster's Paradise.
Gangster's Paradise.
So popular, it spawned Amish Paradise.
So I'm going to throw a few out there. Dazed and Confused.
Phenomenal.
You have...
My wife gets so mad because if that's ever on TV,
Right.
I watch it. Just because it's, first of all, I wasn't alive in the 70s, but it makes me feel like I was.
Right.
And then the damn music.
yeah.
Just sucks you in.
Newer ones, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 and 2. Both
Okay.
great.
I'm not that familiar with them, but I know from the movie the songs.
Yeah,
so
look them up.
I'm sure they're great.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yep.
I don't know.
Jake Knoll threw that one out there.
I'm sure it's good. I don't exclusively know what's on it.
Yeah,
though.
so it makes you want to go look, though.
Right.
That's why I want to throw some out there so the listeners can type it in and see what they like the best.
Check out Pulp Fiction, motherfucker.
Oh, that'd be a good one.
Yeah.
So two that I purchased that I listened to a lot was one was Varsity Blues.
Oh, yeah.
And then, don't ask me why, but Scream 3, the soundtrack to Scream 3.
Was that the with the?
It had bangers on it, man. Like it's perfect for like the late 90s. You had everything from Creed to System of a Down to, I don't know. I mean, yeah, play it for us.
No, go ahead.
But there was a lot on there. And then I just remember Varsity Blues. I just like the movie, and a lot of the songs are in there, Thunderstruck and stuff like that. That kind of got me going.
I want to throw a few names out here because I posted this on social media.
So people offered up their opinions.
Yeah, so while I'm doing that, Biggie can contribute.
Okay, I just had to check this song because when he said Scream 3, a song popped in my head, and I had to remember if it was on there or not. It is, and it's Wait and Bleed by Slipknot.
Slipknot's on there.
Yeah.
Like that was probably the first time you heard Slipknot was when that song came out.
So a few we hadn't touched on, Rocky.
Yeah,
Wayne's World.
Wayne's World is a great one.
Of course, someone says Purple Rain, but I feel like it's cheating.
Yeah,
See,
but
when
that's a good one though. I mean, it's still Prince.
Purple Rain,
Dirty
Grease,
Dancing.
Saturday Night Live.
Very iconic with Dirty Dancing.
American Graffiti.
I'm sure it's
Yeah.
great, but I couldn't tell you what it is.
Grease. Good Morning Vietnam. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Sorry.
That's probably good.
Let's see here. Saturday Night Fever.
A lot of Bee Gees flow in that one.
Top Gun.
Hell yeah, they had what was that? Take My Breath, and
Yeah.
then Danger Zone.
And
yeah.
then, well, one of the ones I was going to say to start with, but I feel like it's the most overplayed, is the Rocky soundtrack.
Yeah. Deadpool.
It probably does have a lot.
Deadpool's good. Joe Dirt. Varsity Blues, which you touched on. Let's see here.
I'm glad somebody else said Varsity Blues.
So Kurt Schilling actually commented on my personal post.
all right,
He said Guardians of the Galaxy and Vision Quest.
Vision Quest.
Yep. Field of Dreams. I think that's too specific. I remember the Titans, West Side Story. Let's see here. Any other ones popping in your head?
Did you buy any? Did you own any growing up? Like,
I don't remember that. I don't.
Did
think
you
I
just say remember the Titans?
Yes?
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
All right. So, what about the ones that you just remember being so iconic?
Oh, goodness gracious.
Like Titanic's freaking soundtrack. I'm not saying I like that music.
I was going to say that's the one
God,
that
it was
because
huge.
when you hear a lot of those songs or you hear Celine Dion's name, you think
Yeah.
of the Titanic.
Yeah,
Urban Cowboy.
Urban Cowboy.
I remember all those songs growing up.
I mean, the soundtrack didn't. Oh, what about Whitney Houston? Bodyguard.
Bodyguard.
That's
yeah.
when she did the Dolly Parton song.
That's listed as the number one soundtrack or within the top 3 on every list I went to when I was pooping today.
And The Lion King.
Hey, Samakia, Naminishimina.
There you go. Perfect.
Oh, well, I'm genuinely entertained after talking about music, Biggie. You got any exciting things you're going to watch this weekend or do anything this weekend? I know.
Dude, this is the beginning of the best time of the year if you're a basketball fan, particularly a college basketball fan. You got the smaller tournaments are starting here
Are they
today.
really? I didn't think they were
These
starting.
games, like
are these games you're betting on tonight?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Like
Shit.
BU and Army, that's the Patriot League. 15 and 16 versus 16 and 15. So all those smaller conferences that get only a auto bid usually, their tournaments have started.
So is this designed as a way to benefit these like scrub schools that they get time off before or does this play against them? Because like, isn't there a good gap between when they're finished?
So they'll finish on Sunday of this week for most of these.
Is it going to be like
Sunday
March
or Monday?
6th or something?
Yeah, they'll finish March 5th, 6th, 7th, somewhere in there, depending when they start. Typically, it'll be March 5th because that's Sunday. The bigger conferences aren't going to start until Tuesday or Wednesday of next week and play through the following Sunday. Then the tournament starts that Thursday. So if you're one of these smaller schools, you get a 10-day window from the last game of the season to prep for your tournament game.
The only thing is you have no idea who you're prepping against. Though,
True.
You know, unless you really believe in Joe Lenardi's bracketology.
Dude, he hits like 97%. We believe in it as Mountaineers fans. He said
he
we're
says
in.
WVU is going to make it in, but it is fun watching college basketball this time of year. And you know, I've said this before, man. I know that the talent's not as good as the NBA. They're not as athletic overall. But I still feel like when you watch them, there's always defense. People are diving on the floor. Like you see it every night. And man, those games will get chippy.
So the Mountaineers the other night, you got Kedrian Johnson, 5th-year senior, who stayed at West Virginia because when he needed them, they were there for him. So he stayed loyal. He's out there hobbling around on a bad ankle. You got Trey Mitchell, who loves being at West Virginia, needs to start the team. Oh, all right, I'll get teed up and thrown out. Joe Toussaint coming off the bench, who just got killed on previous game Saturday, Kansas.
Another night in the Big 12.
And all these guys are out there, and none of these guys are going pro.
No.
Emmett Matthews is out there about to throw up on the court. Like,
can we keep
you
it
don't
like
get that in the NBA, and that's what makes these next few weeks so special for me.
I hope the transfer portal slows down a little bit. We get more to love out of these guys but even with that being said, there's always a hero in March, right? There's always a Cinderella team or some like John Morant, you know, like did March not single-handedly raise his stock through the roof? Like, of course he was on the radar anyway, but then like little Murray State wins a couple games of the tournament and you're like, wow, you know, this guy is the real deal.
Well, when you get to the tournament too, because teams make, like I said, Cinderella runs, that's how they make their mark. You can still, in your head, if I say Jimmy V, you're seeing him running around like crazy on the court. They almost get the steal. They heave the deep three. It ends up being a dunk. You think of that. You think of the Lakener turnaround. You think of, I don't know, Adam Morrison scores table crying.
Moment. I'm singing too much tonight. I got to stop.
The one shining moment is the cheesiest thing that isn't cheesy.
Yeah, that's so good.
Jim Nance
if I don't get Luther Vandross, I'm upset.
So when I'm listening to Jim Nance, and it's maybe because he does golf too, and I enjoy golf, I enjoy his voice, but when you get away from Tony Romo and you put him on the mic, he just has he's like your grandfather. He has a caring, warm,
got a calming effect.
nurturing voice.
Yeah. Although I do miss Gus Johnson calling March Madness.
He still does.
Does he?
Some games. Well, maybe he
I feel
hasn't
like
in the last couple of years.
Yeah,
But,
because he's on Fox now.
oh, I thought they lent him out for the tournament.
Maybe they do, and I've just missed it. But like his excitement, just when it's like Biggie pulls up for three.
Gus Johnson is probably my favorite college voice because in football and basketball, when a big play happens, he's the biggest fan of the team that just happened. And then he can
Yes.
turn around and do it the other way. He never shows any bias. Like Gus Johnson on the call, that Will Greer touchdown pass at Texas.
Yep.
Oh,
I think he's just an excitable sports fan.
Yep.
And maybe that's how we should be calling games.
just living the dream.
And he always tries to build it up like the next play's a big moment. He's like, here it is. Third down, and just, it could be like the damn second quarter, but he's trying to make it out like it's just these huge pivotal plays every time. But I miss him calling threes and buzzer beaters and Cinderellas, or if he's still doing it, I just haven't listened to it. The thing is, right now, I wanted to ask you if you had a favorite before the conference tournaments and stuff, if you had to put your money on a team. And I was looking at something that showed all the past winners for like the past 20 years, and an overwhelming majority of them are all preseason top 10 teams.
Yep.
There's like 2 times it's been non-ranked, and then Villanova was an 11.
Yeah, you'll get a lot of non-ranked teams into the Elite Eight or even the.
But if you're going to win it all, though, we already knew you were good.
Yeah. There's like 3-4 teams I really like this year. I think Kansas, healthy, has a chance to be the first repeat champion since Duke did it how many years ago?
Yep.
Florida. I take that back. Completely forgot about Billy Donovan and the boys.
Is that Brett Nelson?
Right after Brett Nelson.
Joakim Noah?
Joakim Noah, Corey Brewer, another guy that went to the NBA, Al Horford.
Oh, yeah.
They're all on that team.
See, we don't even get that stuff now.
But
now we get Mac whatever doing the dunk contest.
This year, Mac McClung. This year, I like...
Sounds like a made-up name.
It does.
It's like a video game name. Like, was that the boxer in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out?
It was, he looked like Tommy Morrison. They called him Tommy McClung.
Mac McClung.
I think Houston, who's coming to the Big 12, I like.
I didn't mean to derail your thoughts. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I like Houston. I like Purdue, the way they can dominate you inside. I like Virginia because guard play, there's no big man anymore. Guard play is really important. They start defense. 2 seniors and they play defense. And they have a coach who's been there before. They're talented. It's kind of not a long shot, but on the East Coast, for whatever reason, not talked about as much, even though they're a top 10 team all year long. That's UCLA. They passed over. They ended up with Mick Cronin as their head coach. They thought they were getting all these big names. They're going to bring Calipari. They're going to just change the world. They end up on Mick Cronin, and they settled for Mick Cronin, and they've already been to the Final Four.
So I always liked Cronin. I didn't necessarily like playing against his teams, and I hated him, so I know he's a good coach. All right, so I like him as a coach there. The Pac-12 sucks. Like, they're not good at basketball.
UCLA is good, and then there's everyone else.
But I think that's the case here, right? Like Oregon sometimes can have a decent team. Oregon State is not good.
Arizona's top 10-ish, so is UCLA. See, the Pac-12 has like 3 to 4 good teams, and that's good. That's it. Like Arizona State's, they're like 21-8 or something like that. They're not very good. That's why a West Virginia at 17-13 is in the tournament.
West Virginia's got the third toughest strength of schedule.
That's what I'm saying. The Big 12 is that deep, that tough.
So just by comparison, looking at the Pac-12, it's probably not as bad as I think. It's just that
it's not the Big 12.
Yeah. Like, what's the second best conference? SEC? Which that used to never be even close to being the case. But I think
maybe the Big Ten or the SEC.
It's not the ACC.
No. The Big Ten, you got Purdue, Illinois, Michigan. Michigan State's always good, always there.
When's he going to hang it up?
You would think in the next 3-4 years he has a nice run. They make a Final Four because
I mean, is he burnt
he's
out like
another
these
one of
other
those
guys?
coaches that seem like they would be getting to that burnout point.
I mean, that's what it is. The game's changed. Like Bob Huggins is done after this year, right?
But Jim Boeheim should have retired 5 years ago, and he's still doing it.
Well, he had relatives.
His kid was playing for him.
Yeah, I thought it was his damn grandson. You're right, it is his kid.
Yeah.
Like, good for you, Jimmy. Like, you stud nothing.
I think
Age is just a number, pal.
West Virginia makes a nice little run this year. Huggins can retire and feel like he left the program in a good place.
Where is the Final Four?
Ooh.
You remember when you used to be able to get those rubber basketballs at
Yep.
Pizza Hut? Pizza Hut was always a big sponsor of the Final Four. And then, like, within a day, it'd have a big nipple on the side of it because they were crap.
Isn't it in Indianapolis this year?
I don't know. I really didn't know. That's what I was asking.
I'm not sure.
I'll go with it. They do it in these huge stadiums,
Yep.
which I love for basketball. Like, we have
You remember when we get on the phone when we didn't live next to each other and we had Javon Carter and we went to the Sweet 16 like 5 straight years, 4, with Javon, 1 without him.
Those
and
were
we'd
good
make it to the
times.
Sweet 16 and then we'd be talking about where the Final Four was and we'll look at
we're
hotel
going to go.
rooms.
And then they break our heart.
That
Every
Gonzaga loss
time.
where we didn't get a damn shot off.
Oh, those are the days.
All right, anybody listening to us who isn't a Mountaineers fans, like, all right,
Yeah,
shut
they've
up.
done got lost. But let me ask you this, though. Do you feel like and I'm struggling with this, do you feel like your fandom in sports has deteriorated over the past 5 years? Because
On an overall level, yes. Individual spots, no. Like, I still love my Mountaineers.
right, but I used to be able to tell you like their backup offensive line.
And I can't do that anymore.
Right. Like I'm just
Like we could go through and if you had, we could name 75 and 90 guys.
right. And like Cincinnati, the Bengals I can tell you a lot about, but I can't tell you all their
I
players.
used to be able to tell you the Mariners farm system and they weren't good. Now they are good.
And yeah, I mean, it's now I could say I can't tell you half the name of the players on the Reds, but that's not a surprise because nobody knows. They're like the damn Indians.
Hey, as
from
soon as
Major
they
League.
become a name worth knowing, you'll trade them away.
These guys are shitty.
Yep.
That's what they'll say. No, they're done trading. They have no assets left to trade. They're the lowest paid.
You got somebody in Double A
National
that'll
League.
come up and make a splash.
Well, but you have control over them and you don't have to pay them outright. So that's how it'll work. But my point is whether it's COVID or rules changing, like we talk about college sports being different with the rules and these coaches getting out. And maybe it's the fact that you can watch anything now, anytime. I've lost a little bit of my fire, man.
Some of it for me is that where it is so accessible, I almost try to avoid watching basketball every night leading up to this time of year.
Yeah.
Because I know I can. So I'll watch a new movie that's out. Maybe I'll like it. Maybe I won't. Whereas when I was younger,
Oh, we got to talk about a movie too.
that's all I would do is watch. And now your life changes. You spend more time. You get involved in what your kids like and different shows. I do know my fandom, not my love of sport, but my overall fandom.
Like
being able to
you're
name
in depth. Like remember that show? Was it 2 Minute Drill?
Stump the Schwab. with
Stop
Howie
the
Schwab.
Schwab. Yes, like you would.
We used to be able to do that. I used to be able to go deep on tennis in that.
Yeah.
Women's tennis, Steffi Graf.
Not now.
Monica Seles.
if you watch it now, I'd be ashamed.
Yep.
You know. So I'm glad I'm not alone. It makes me feel a little better. So here's to trying to get that back. Something else. This weekend you got going on. I see John Bones Jones is fighting again,
John Bones Jones is the best fighter in the history of the UFC.
pound for pound.
Pound for pound.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he's going. I don't follow it well enough to know the ins and outs of it, but it's a big fight this weekend. Also know AEW's got a pay-per-view this weekend. So I might watch a little bit of combat sports. Did you watch Jake Paul get knocked out?
I did not. Once Drake bet on him, I knew it was over.
What mattress Mac bet?
I did not see.
He's probably I ain't betting on this full of shit.
Trying to see what the odds are. Wow. I'll have to look a little more in depth. I was going to see what the odds were in the Bones Jones fight, but I love John Bones Jones inside the octagon. Also, Chandler Jones, his brother, was a defensive end, played for the Patriots before he went to the Cardinals.
Yeah.
And he had another brother who's a defensive tackle for the Baltimore Ravens. You imagine being the mom and the dad, like, of that house or a friend of theirs. You got two guys that are pro football
Big boys.
studs, and one of them's the toughest guy in the UFC, and he probably gets his
Maybe the world.
gets his butt kicked by his Arthur Jones is huge.
Yes, he is a monster. And like John Jones is the smallest of them all.
Like, so
That's probably why he's beating up everybody. He's always been the little brother getting picked on.
just imagine that as a parent right now. You're 41, but instead of having a son and a daughter, or you have 2 sons and 3 daughters, whatever, but you got a house full of Watts or Bosa's or Joneses. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that life would just be weird as a parent. Your kids are bigger than you. They can twirl your wound on their finger.
If you raise them right, you'll be all right.
Yeah.
So the Jake Paul fight, is it?
Went to a judge's decision.
Yeah,
I saw.
went to a split decision. He clearly lost. I mean, he fought somebody that was trained to be a boxer.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's great. It's Tyson Fury's half brother, but you know, it's not like he's fighting these celebrities and these bums that, you know, now his lack of footwork and defense just got exposed, and he got pretty much whipped the whole time. But I didn't watch the whole thing. I was at work. I caught a little bit of the end of it, and I guess they're going to run it back. You know, so I imagine that he'll win that one, and then if they want to make money, they'll do a third one.
Yeah.
Isn't that how that works?
Yeah, that's how it always works. What sucks to me is I grew up on boxing from the welterweight, featherweight, heavyweight. You had great guys in every division that you could identify with, from an Oscar De La Hoya up to a Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson, Riddick Bowe. Like, those are guys, and there's other guys I'm not naming, but you had 10 boxers off the top of your head, depending on division.
Oh, sports
you could think
dead.
and you don't have that now. That's why Tyson Fury can't retire, because who else is going to box? Let's watch him and Wilder again.
What's insane is the amount of money they still make when the sport being is, and it might be great. We might have the best boxers the world has ever seen right now, but you
They're
wouldn't
not
know.
marketed.
Yeah, it goes back to what we were talking crap about Major League Baseball.
Here's the thing. You can hate Don King, but Don King was a great promoter.
I can still hate him though.
Yes.
He's a bad person.
Yes.
The
Don King and Joe Paterno walk into a bar.
oh no, hey, we need to end the segment there. I do have a question. We talk about our declining love of not love of sports, but allowing the information to engulf you.
Yes.
The combines this weekend. Do you even care?
Not at all.
You were talking about big defensive linemen or whatever, and they had one defensive tackle ran the fastest 40 time ever for an interior lineman.
But to me, there's only really a couple drills that I care about. when
Everybody
my
loves a
team's
40,
drafting
man.
them. I never look at the 40. We're not out here in track, right? I care about the cone drill
The shuttle
and the shuttle. And like, why do I care if you can long
and the
jump a
Wonderlic
certain-
test.
No, like maybe with your quarterback, but
Kyler Murray scored a
care
7.
about
I don't know. It was
how quick you are between the gaps. And I care about what you can do in an 8 or 10 yard span, because guess what? If you can run a 4.37 40, that's great. Who was the guy the Bengals drafted that couldn't catch the ball?
John Ross ran the
Ran a
fastest 40
4.240.
time ever.
Yeah.
I mean, can we just get rid of the combine?
Well, you know what I,
I think
would
it's
be
a
in favor
shit show
of?
anyway. Let's be honest. Let's watch all these guys parade around in their knickers
Yep.
and judge them. And like, no, you can't do that to free agents. Like,
The way it has become, with the way that our world is now, I don't see the combine existing in another 10 years, because we are dehumanizing.
it really is. They're
These
like,
guys-
they're
and-
right. It's like cattle. Like, come in here, lift your sack. You know,
Like, you know me, I'm not much of one who's going to, like, say a pro athlete.
You'll say,
we're
"Suck it
doing
up,
wrong."
Buttercup."
But when it comes to that,
It's
you're
pretty
having
bad.
a guy out there basically in his underwear. You're taking pictures of him. You're lifting up his pet. Like
it's
and then
weird.
some of the questions that they ask these guys, well, your mother was a whore, and, or, you know, this, it just, I'm in favor of you travel to their pro day, because the other thing you always talk about is quarterbacks throwing at the combine. If I'm a top tier quarterback, why do I want to throw to a bunch of guys
I
who
don't
may
know.
or may not get drafted? I'm a first round pick. This guy might be a 6th round pick. How about you come to my pro day and I throw to the guys I've thrown to all year long?
And what are you really seeing
At a
out of
pro
watching
day.
them at a combine where
Yeah.
they throw, what, 10 passes? Like, are those 10 passes going to define him?
So, yeah, exactly. And the the pro day, you should look good. If you can't judge a guy off of his film, to me, the thing I like the most about the combine, or the only part of it I think should stay, is the interview process part of it.
Yeah,
because
but
you can see the film,
you can
but
do
you
that
want to
anyway.
talk to the guy.
You should be able to interview
You
anybody.
can Zoom a guy.
They talk to these guys all the time. Like, why is the interview different? Like, you can't schedule that?
behind closed doors, and there's no recording devices.
Like I said, lift your sack. That's what they say.
Yeah.
I'm ready for it to go away. And I know the NFL is going to fight to keep it as long as they can because it is actually revenue for them.
Well, because it's a streamed event
televised,
now that
yeah.
gets sponsored, and yeah,
I mean,
run, Rich, run.
we talk about the non-marketability of these other
Hey.
sports, and the NFL always getting it right.
So we're gonna do this year for the Run, Rich, run.
We're going to run it.
We're gonna send it a 40 time. You running it. See if you can run faster.
Why
than
do I
Rich.
got to run it? Why don't you run it?
Well, it's you or Greg.
Is that the thing? We just got to beat Rich?
Yeah.
What's he run, like a 5.4?
It's around 5.5, 6 seconds.
Yeah.
It's not fast.
I think I could beat that.
I mean, I'll run the 40, but mine's gonna be like 11 seconds.
11. That's not 40 miles.
I'll blow my knee out at the 18-yard mark.
Just snort a little cocaine before you do it. That'll get you fired up. And
Yep.
I went and saw Cocaine Bear.
Any good?
Your thoughts, just without talking to me. What are your thoughts of this movie, the trailer?
Well, I'm gonna say it's no heroin hippo. Having seen the trailer,
Of Heroin Hippo?
it looks really far outlandish to me. Like, it looks like it goes from them going into the woods to pick up the cocaine and encountering a bear to the bear like tracking them like he's a serial killer. Am I close at all?
It's a dark comedy. So anybody that's not expecting it to be full of laughs, I don't know what you were thinking about a movie with cocaine and bears.
Yeah.
Do you know who Elizabeth Banks is?
Name's familiar.
I love me some Elizabeth Banks. Actress. She has been in 40-Year-Old Virgin, Zack and Miri Make a Porno, Role Models. I mean, she's in a lot of stuff.
It's funny you would say is Elizabeth Banks, and as I tie ELIZ, Elizabeth Banks just pops up
All
on
right,
my
so did
phone.
you see her? You recognize her?
Yes.
Okay. She's the director for Cocaine Bear.
Okay.
Yep. So I guess she's traveling on that foray, and I'd say she'd probably do all right. If I had to guess, I bet Rotten Tomatoes or whatever is probably holding about a 70% right now on Cocaine Bear, maybe 60. It's good. It's a dark comedy with a lot of gore and some jump scares.
Jump scares are good. If you go to watch a scary movie and you don't get a couple good jump scares, then it wasn't a good,
Yeah. But
wasn't a good movie.
yeah.
So right now, Cocaine Bear reviews on Rotten Tomatoes are at 70%.
Ooh, look at that.
IMDb is at 6.5 out of 10, and Metacritic is 54%.
Okay. So
The overall audience rating is a 3.6.
So you know what's great, and I know you and Mr. Brown will be critical of me being critical of movies, especially Mr. Brown. But the thing is, I like it when movies don't pretend to be something they're not. And this movie doesn't pretend to be anything other than a goofy movie about a bear doing cocaine, but we're going to do it with great actors and production values and tell a story. But, you know, these movies that, like Harrison Ford being Indiana Jones again, like I'm telling you right now, that's going to suck. I don't need to see 80-year-old Indiana Jones. Do you?
No.
I mean, why are we doing this?
Yeah, that's one I saw coming out, and it's like, so we'll see when they said it. And I loved all those movies, and I'll end up watching it, but it's been too long for a remake for him to still be an action part of it. Now, if it was like where they did the Creeds and Rocky's a
Can he
part
have a
of them,
son? Well, they did that with
Like-
the crazy dude from Transformers.
Shia LaBeouf?
Yeah. And then he went and found Buddha or something. I don't
Yeah.
know where he's off, but that, I don't know. Like ever since they had him in a nuclear blast in a refrigerator and it flung him 2 miles away and he just got out of the fridge and walked away like nothing happened, I was like, all right, this franchise is, what do they say, jump the shark? You know what Fonzie did? Can we get a more common term for jumping the shark?
I've never heard jump the shark before.
Are you shitting me?
It's the first time I've heard it. What's it mean?
So it's a term they use when you're talking about a TV show that's gone too far. Like whenever the Brady Bunch got Cousin Oliver on the show. Like, why? It's a reference to a Happy Days episode when they're doing a vacation episode and they're at the beach and Fonzie's going to water ski jump these sharks that are out in the water.
Okay.
So whenever you hear a TV, I'm trying to think of an example, like two